what is the main difference between these large state-run measurement systems, monitoring systems, and this every other cheaper or more alternative form of measuring? So what are in broad strokes, what are the main differences?
To monitor air quality is difficult, of course, because we are talking about something that is very complicated, and we are not talking about just one pollutant, but we are talking about several pollutants and the interaction between the different pollutants, and also, for example, the solar radiation that transform the nitrogen dioxides gases into ozone, so that we have also this external effect that is caused by the solar radiation that exists, and so it's normal. Doing that, we should approach this problem focusing on what we are interested to do and to understand. It exists an official air quality monitoring network in Europe, created and built using official air quality monitoring stations that must be comparable. The one that is installed in your country, like the other one that is installed in Italy, and another one that is installed in Germany or in Norwegia. Doing that, the type of sensors that are used and the management of sensors must be the same, to make the data collected in Italy and the data collected in Norway or Germany to be comparable. All those information come to a general database to create the European air quality map that show the general status of air quality around Europe. Doing that, of course, if we imagine a picture, the pixel is very big, because we are talking about all Europe, so that is a huge areas. Then we move to like to use a magnifier and to focus on a specific area, maybe a street or maybe a neighbor or a small village. And in that case, we are interested not at the global situation, the average in your region, but at the specific situation in your country, in your village, in your neighbor, even in your street. Doing that, we need to apply for a hyperlocal monitoring action. And to do this, we need a dense network, so that the official station that were designed and the official network that was designed to create this European map, so that this global map is not enough accurate, not in terms of precision of resolution, because in that case are very accurate, are very precise, but in terms of density and deployed on the land. So to create a very accurate and detailed picture, if we compare this air quality map with a picture, with the photos, we need to create a very small pixel. Doing that, we need a sensor, a device that must be low cost. Why? Because if we imagine a small cities that want to realize a dense network and need to install, I don't know, 50 devices, you cannot afford if each single device costs 100,000 euros. Could be feasible if a single device costs a couple of thousand, 1,000 euros. Now, the second point, the sensors and the devices. The feeling of people with the official air quality monitoring station and with the air quality in general is very complicated, because it's due by how can I say, with your feeling and your trust or not in institution, in your government. The government is helping me. The government is fighting against me. So it's telling me lies, and so this is a very complicated topic. But we are scientists, and so we should focus on the numbers. We need to create a network able to provide reliable and good data. How good? Not good like the 100,000 euros reference stations that are used for the European official network, but good enough to provide reliable data that could be useful to create this detailed picture. So good enough to say, in my street, the pollutants are high, the pollutants level is higher than in the street beside. So that comparable data, precise enough to evaluate the different areas of your cities, and good enough to replicate the measurement day by day, year by year. Doing that, when we talk about cheap, low-cost sensors, there is a break-even point below, because of course, if you go on internet, if you go on Wish, and you can find high quality sensor that start from a few euros. The biggest activities that research groups around Europe, not only us, but also groups in Norway, Spain, France, Germany, and so on, carried on, is to try to define which is the minimum requirement for a device that is able to provide good data. Doing that, we defined that there are some devices available on the market that are useless for this kind of application, because the quality of the data is too poor to evaluate this kind of differences in your area. There is a level above that level. The data that are provided are good enough. The price is enough low to create a dense network, and this balance give you the possibility to create this dense network. Of course, the technology is improving day by day. What was not available a few years ago now is available, and I suppose that more possibility is going to appear in the near future, so that we will be able to be more precise, more accurate, to provide more reliable and precise data in the near future. But for the moment, we defined this level. So the idea is you should be able to provide and to create a device that is low cost enough to be affordable to deploy a dense network in your village. Let's imagine a village because it's the right dimension, or your neighbor. Then good, accurate and precise enough to provide reliable and accurate data.
In the current market, with the current options, in your opinion, based on your research and experience, what is the minimum price per unit for sufficient quality monitoring station?
What we have seen, there are different groups that around Europe, different companies. Most of them are related to research units. Libelium with the research group from Barcelona in Spain. Akumesh that is linked with English University in London, and another one in France that is similar. So that those companies provided good and robust devices like the ones we provided at Kino. In this case, this is a mix of research activity and industrial design. We defined a minimum level, also doing a market analysis that of course is needed if you approach this kind of field. And we defined that the minimum price to provide a complete monitoring network is in between 3,000 and 4,000 euros. Important, there was published several years ago, I think that 6 or 7 years ago in United States, a document that define the low cost, mid cost, and high cost sensor price list. And low cost below $3,000, mid cost in between $3,000 and $30,000, and standard high cost above $30,000. This document was published by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, so that it was an official document. It was a study, but at that time they defined some levels. So below $3,000, the technology is not ready to provide good data. above $3,000, you can build something that provide good data. So what we defined to create a complete monitoring station that include particulate matter and gases, NO2, ozone, and carbon monoxide, and also temperature, humidity, because are related measurements that are very important for human wellness, should have a cost in between 3,000 up to, let's say, 10,000 euros. That's the market price. That is the market price of 90% of good instruments that are now available on market.
When we talk with the NGOs or the civil societies or the citizen movements that are buying these clearly cheap Chinese produced small boxes that they're used as measurements, when they're faced with the facts that they're not very precise, they said, well, we're not using them to create some yearly annual data set, we're just using it as an awareness tool. So what is your opinion regarding this? Are these pliable as an awareness tool? What is your opinion?
That's exactly the point, awareness tool. But if the sensor that you install just provide the numbers, but are just numbers, I don't know, affected by temperature, humidity, I don't know, something that happened in your house, and most of them are for indoor use. There is a huge difference installing a device, mainly in terms of electronic. If you install a device in your house, in your apartment, in your country house, and the device stay inside, let's say 15 up to 25, 26 degree, more or less 50, 60% relative humidity. That means that work in a climatized conditions that are perfect for sensor measurements and for sensor recordings, but are not the situation that happen outside your window. So that when you move the same chip sensor outside your window in open air, everything change. Humidity has a huge effect on sensor readings, temperature, and then the weather conditions, so that there is a huge difference between the cheap sensors designed by the Chinese devices to work indoor and maybe providing also good data, and the same sensor that can be installed outdoor. So, and also in terms of awareness, good, okay, but the break-even level to provide good and reliable data, you should use some sensors that are able to provide reliable and useful data. If not, are useless.
People have a lack of trust towards the government, who is technically running the state monitoring systems, and they said there are open fields for manipulation. Do you think that physically the system itself can be switched in that way that it's showing less pollution? Is there a physical way how they can hack or they can switch the data?
I could say no, because there is no interest from the public administrators to manipulate data. It's very risky, and usually is useful. You can, how can I say, manipulate the high quality data, moving your sampling point in a good or in a bad area, but in effect, when you decide the position, is a match of different aspects that should be considered: the availability of electricity, the availability of space, of public space, because you cannot install the monitoring station in the garden of a private citizen, so that at the end nobody do it. What is true is that if the citizens and a group of citizens want to act and want to improve the quality of monitoring, using a hyper-local approach, could ask the municipality or could do directly using a good instruments, low cost, like we have defined during the Upsearch project, but there is a set of good instruments, then create a network that provide reliable data. If something is detected, an hotspot, how is named usually, then can ask the municipality and the government to install a reference station there where there is a critical point. Usually in Italy, for sure, but I think all over Europe, there are mobile laboratories that can be moved exactly for this kind of application in a certain area. This low-cost network could help to detect where are the hotspots, the critical areas. Then there is an official measurement campaign, and then is defined that there is a critical point, and then we can act to mitigate. Important, when there are emissions, I don't know, wasteland instead of big factories and so on, the emission at that sites are already monitored directly. I don't know, the chimneys, directly the wasteland. But of course, can be improved this activity using this kind of sensors.
There is no universal approach towards measuring the air quality in every city, village, or area. So everything. So there's no universal, and it must be tailor-made, right? So for every location, it must be tailor-made projection of the monitoring systems. There's no universal setup that can work everywhere in every neighborhood, in every city, in every village.
The general setup exists because the basic station record temperature and humidity, temperature and air humidity, particulate matter, PM2.5 and PM10, ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide. That's all. If you install a network of those sensors in a village, in an area, then you have a network that can provide reliable data that are the same that are provided by the official reference station at a higher level of accuracy and precision. In case of intercomparability of measurement measured in Maribor instead of in Prato, instead of Breda, it's important, from my point of view, since we are going to use local sensors, to use the same kind of sensors. Why? To make the measurement comparable. Because, of course, if coming back from the beginning of my my talk, the European network, official network, say that to provide data in Italy and in Norway that should be comparable, you should use the same kind of sensors from a very small group of companies that provide certified sensors that are managed exactly in the same way, with the same calibration timing, with the same, I don't know, climatization temperature inside the box. Why? To make the measurement intercomparable. This is even more important in project like the one we are talking, Upsurge project, because we are using local sensors that are managed in different ways, that are installed in different countries, so that the minimum request should be to use the same sensors. Because if are comparable in your village, maybe it's difficult to compare with another village that use another kind of sensors. There is a last point that we didn't talk about, that is the installation. There are some requirements, and we should take care about the installation, because just few indication. Air quality is measured in between 3.5 and 4.5 meters altitude, so that you cannot put on the roof, you cannot put on the ground in your house. You should stay at a certain altitude. Then, second point, should be placed in representative areas. So that if you put just, I don't know, very close a wall, or behind a fence, or in an area that is, I don't know, closed or not representative. Let's imagine you are just beside a big street, and you put not in front of the street, but in the back of your house. Of course, the house is a sort of shield, and so mitigate the effect of measurement. That's important, because if in the street, the other side of the village, you install your device in front of the street, oh, look, the other street is more polluted than that one. No, you install your device not in the best position to measure the pollutants. This is very complicated. this is very delicate aspect, but the same. At least you are using the same devices so that you are comparing two positions, maybe not the same, but the same areas. And you are providing the same data collected into different points. You can say, okay, in that position that is in front of the street, the pollutants the levels is higher than in the other position that is in the backyard of the house, close beside the big street. This is, in any case, a good information that is could be useful if collected and analyzed in the right way by the municipality and the decision maker that could decide to do something to mitigate. Because this could be and must be the focus. Though all those activities are focused on to develop and evaluate some strategies to mitigate the pollutants in our cities.